Hi everybody, it's Juliet here, and today I'm coming on with a little tip and trick for you. This came up in a Facebook group that I'm a member of. Somebody was asking, is there any other way other than Loom and square stitch to make, stitches line up? And I said, yes, actually, you can break stitch. And everyone was like, how? So I'm here to show you how. Okay, so normally we think of brick stitch as being offset like this, kind of in diagonals or, every, ziggy-zagging, like peyote stitch. And you probably don't realize that you can get straight columns using brick stitch. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So just for a quick refresher on brick stitch we stitch onto the thread that is in between the beads on the row below. So think of that as the mortar, the bricks are the beads, the thread is the mortar, and we're using the mortar. Okay, so normally what we would do on regular brick stitch, we'd pick up our bead, we would stitch underneath that little bit of thread that's going between the two beads, and that's what makes it sit on the diagonal because it's sitting between the two beads. And then we go out the top of the bead and we keep going, pick up another, stitch between the next thread there. I'm sure most of you guys know how to do regular brick stitch, and we just keep going, right? If you don't know how to do regular brick stitch, there are many videos on the internet that show you how to do brick stitch. So that is your standard brick stitch, okay? This stacked bricks, I don't know if it has a name. I don't know if I have just come up with this and nobody else knows. I don't know. Maybe it has a name. If it does, I don't know it. Okay. So it uses a little bit less thread than square stitch. And it's because the thread on regular brick stitch is sitting, on the inside here, it's all kind of hidden up inside the bead. So this is, as you can see, a little bit more gappy because the thread is stacked at the corners instead of like hidden inside the bead. Okay. So you would start with a normal row of ladder stitch, and the first row, the second row can be really difficult, but so I'll start from the middle of the row, show you the basics, and then I'll show you what to do at the end of a row and how to start the next row. Okay, so you pick up your bead. We're going to brick stitch underneath the thread that's here. Okay, so here I'm going front to back. Back to front. So I'm started at the back with my needle and I push forward. Now I'm at the front of my work. Sorry, I have a fuzzy. And I'm going to go front to back through the next, underneath the next little thread on this side. Okay. And then I'm at the back of my work, and then I'm going to go up, back up through the bead that we just added. Okay, so that's the bead stuck on now. And so the thread went down, it looped under here, it looped under here, and it came back up again, okay? So all of that is going on. So think of this kind of like knitting, okay? So if this is a knitting row, you're either going to flip it over at the end of the row and continue knitting, or you're going to purl on your way back. So right now I'm going front to back. If I don't flip over, I have to do back to front on the next row. So instead of going forward, back, I'm going to go back, forward, just to help because if you think about it, the thread is going either to the front here or to the back. So right now it's going to the front because I'm starting at the back it's looping underneath this thread right here, okay? Sorry. Okay, and then it's traveling across the front, and then it's going backwards into this one. So the piece of thread that's between the two beads is in the front. So if you flip it over, that will become the back, and then you can just keep going in the same manner which you started. If you're not flipping and you're working left to right, you're gonna have to like knit one, purl one. So to me, it's easier to flip it over, and that way you can just always be going, you know, back to front, front to back, and you get a nice little rhythm going, okay? And as you can see, they're all just sitting nicely on top of each other. It's quite stiff. It doesn't have a lot of flop to it because the threads are holding it quite tight. So just be aware that, it can, you know, it's not going to be a very floppy piece. And I mean, it bends a little bit, but not a lot to the front, okay? So I'm going to quickly finish up this row, and then I'll show you what to do at the end. And while I'm doing that, I will tell you, for brick stitch, I highly recommend not using Fireline. You can, but I always find it better with nylon threads, a thread like KO, like Nozue Sonoko, like what are some other ones I like? Miyuki thread, OneG, any of those type of threads are better for this kind of thing. So at the end, what I found is best is not to do a brick stitch right here, okay? I go down, obviously you can't do this at the beginning, so you can just do a brick stitch on the second row and then kind of fix it when you get further up. I go down 2 beads below, okay? And then I go up the 2 beads next to it. And then I travel across and I just pop up through that last end bead, okay? And that is how I turn around. Then you flip it over and you're gonna start the next row. So for the next row, it's just like if I was doing a regular brick stitch, you wanna start with 2 beads, okay? So pick up your 2 beads, and the second bead is the white bead. So I'm just gonna stitch right underneath the thread, the first little piece of thread right there, okay? And then over underneath the second. And because I flipped, I can work in the same direction. So I'm going from the back to the front and then the front to the back. If I, sorry, I'm getting tied up. If I hadn't flipped over and I was working back the other way, I would need to reverse my direction. So it's just a lot easier, in my opinion, to flip over and just start working the next row that way, okay? So I'm just traveling along, and it gets much quicker once you've got the first 2 rows. The first 2 rows are tricky because obviously you're doing a ladder stitch for the first row. The second row is kind of hard. So that's why I'm saying if you don't already know how to brick stitch, you may want to learn a basic brick stitch first. And just be careful when you're coming back up your bead, okay? If you've been going, you know, back to front, front to back, don't try to enter the bead on the front. It's not gonna work. So for example, here I'm going front to back to front, front to back. And then if I try to pull over here and then go up, it sometimes gets messed up. So it's better to try and enter in. Sorry, I have a rabbit, and that is a rabbit fur. Okay. Yeah, it's better to enter in from the back if you can, okay? So that is how you do brick stitch in lines. You know, if you try this, let me know. Obviously, you don't have to do lines for the pattern. I'm just showing you the difference here and the way the stitches sit. But anyway, I wanted to just share that with you. Let me know if you've ever heard of this technique, if you know of another name of it. I mean, I don't know, double brick stitch maybe? I don't know. Stacked brick stitch maybe? I honestly have no idea. I tried kind of Googling and I couldn't find anything. So maybe I have just invented something new. I don't know. Okay, take care for now. Bye.